The metal bars rattled against her pregnant belly. 6 months along, locked in a dog cage, in the basement of a $50 million mansion. Her husband's mistress stood at the top of the stairs, recording everything, smiling. This wasn't a nightmare. This was Rebecca Morrison's reality, 24 hours after confronting her billionaire husband about his affair. How does a middle-class teacher end up married to one of the wealthiest men in America? How does that fairy tale turn into a cage in the dark? And how does she fight back when money can buy anything, including silence? This is the story of a woman who discovered that sometimes the most dangerous prison isn't made of bars. It's made of promises, of pretty lies, of a life that looks perfect from the outside but is rotting from within. Rebecca had three choices: take the money and disappear, stay silent and suffer, or fight a family so powerful they thought they were untouchable. What she chose changed everything, not just for her, but for every woman who came before her, and every woman who would come after. This is her story, and it starts with a question nobody thought to ask. What happens when the golden cage finally breaks? Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you. And maybe, just maybe, it'll save someone's life. The metal bars rattled, cold, so cold her teeth chattered. Rebecca Morrison opened her eyes to darkness. Not the soft darkness of her bedroom with moonlight filtering through silk curtains. This was different. Thick, heavy, wrong. Her back cramped. She tried to stretch, but her hands hit metal. Above her, beside her, behind her. The realization came slowly, like waking from anesthesia. She was enclosed, trapped in something small. A cage. Her breath came faster. She was 6 months pregnant. Her belly pressed against the bars when she tried to sit up. The baby kicked once, twice, 3 times. As if to say, where are we? What happened? Becca's fingers found the cold metal again. She traced the pattern. Bars, a door with a latch, a water bowl near her feet, and something else. Something that made her stomach turn. Dog food, in a metal bowl with little bone shapes printed on the side. Her wedding scarf covered her mouth. Silk, cream-colored, a gift from Clayton's mother Margaret on their honeymoon. She could taste the expensive fabric, taste the humiliation. Above her, footsteps, heels clicking on marble floors. A woman's laugh, light, musical. Then a man's voice, deeper, familiar. Clayton, her husband's voice mixed with the woman's laughter. They were talking about something, wine, a movie, normal conversation while she lay in a cage in the basement storage room. This is temporary, Becca thought. A sick joke. Clayton will find me any second. He has to. But even as she thought it, she knew. Her body knew. The way her heart hammered against her ribs knew. This wasn't a mistake. She tried to scream. The sound came out muffled, desperate. Animal. Nobody came. The cold seeped through her nightgown. She'd gone to bed in her own bed, in the master suite. She remembered Clayton bringing her chamomile tea, saying he was sorry for being distant, kissing her forehead. The tea. Something in the tea. She checked her phone. Wait, where was her phone? She always kept it in her robe pocket. Always. That's when the panic truly set in. Time passed. Minutes or hours, she couldn't tell. The baby kicked again, stronger this time. She placed both hands on her belly, whispered through the gag. It's okay. We're okay. Mommy's here. The lie burned her throat. Footsteps again. Coming down the stair this time, Becca's heart raced. Clayton. It had to be Clayton. He'd explain. He'd apologize. He'd get her out. The door at the top of the stairs opened. Light flooded down. A silhouette appeared. Female. Slender. Wearing something that looked like one of Becca's maternity dresses. The blue one with white flowers. The woman descended slowly, each step deliberate. When she reached the bottom, Becca saw her face. Sienna Vale, Clayton's new vice president of operations. The woman introduced at last week's charity gala. The one who laughed too easily at Clayton's jokes, who touched his arm too often, who wore a matching watch. Sienna held up her phone. The camera light glowed red. Recording. She smiled. Good morning, Rebecca, Sienna said. Her voice was pleasant, conversational, as if they were having coffee instead of this. How did you sleep? Becca made sounds behind the gag. pleading, angry, terrified. Sienna crouched down. Her manicured nails touched the bars. Clayton wanted me to check on you. Make sure you were comfortable. Are you comfortable? More muffled sounds. I'll take that as a no. Sienna stood. She walked around the cage slowly, inspecting. You know, Clayton told me you might try to leave after the gala, after you overheard us. So we made arrangements, safety arrangements. For your own good. She tapped the cage with one fingernail. The sound echoed. This used to belong to Clayton's parents' Great Dane. Beautiful dog, very well trained. Knew its place. Sienna's eyes met Becca's. Do you know your place, Rebecca? Becca tried to lunge forward. The cage rattled. Her pregnant belly made it impossible to move with any force. Sienna laughed. That's what I thought. Don't worry. We're going to teach you. By tonight, you'll understand everything. By morning, you'll sign the papers Clayton needs. And then you can go, free as a bird. She paused. Well, free as a bird without her baby or her money, but free nonetheless. She turned to leave. Becca screamed behind the gag. A raw sound, maternal, fierce. Sienna looked back. Oh, I almost forgot. Your mother called. Wanted to confirm Sunday brunch. I told her you were sleeping in. Pregnancy fatigue. She understood completely. Said to tell you she loves you. The door closed. The light disappeared. Footsteps retreated up the stairs. Becca was alone again. In the dark. In the cage. With her unborn child and the dog food and the cold metal pressing against every part of her. She counted her heartbeats. Tried to slow her breathing. The baby needed her calm. The baby needed her strong. But all she could think was, my husband's mistress put me in a cage. My husband's mistress is wearing my clothes. My husband's mistress knows where I keep my phone. And somewhere above her, Clayton was laughing. 24 hours before the cage, Becca stood in front of her bedroom mirror. The gown was too tight, cream silk with delicate beading across the bodice. It had fit perfectly when she bought it 3 months ago, before her belly expanded, before everything changed. You look beautiful, Clayton said from the doorway. He was already dressed. Black tuxedo, diamond cufflinks, hair perfectly styled. Becca turned sideways. The gown stretched across her stomach. I look pregnant. You are pregnant. He crossed the room, placed his hands on her shoulders, met her eyes in the mirror. My mother won't say anything. That was a lie. They both knew it. Margaret Ashford had been saying things for months. Subtle comments, concerned suggestions. Have you thought about a personal trainer? Not for weight loss, of course. Just to stay healthy. For the baby. The charity gala started in 2 hours. The Ashford Foundation annual fundraiser. 200 guests. Politicians, business leaders, old money and new. Everyone who mattered in their circle. Becca had been planning it for 6 months. For she knew about the baby, when she still believed she could be the wife Clayton needed. Is Sienna coming tonight? The question came out more pointed than she intended. Clayton's hands dropped from her shoulders. She's the new VP of operations. Of course she's coming. You didn't mention hiring her. It happened quickly. Marcus recommended her. Her credentials are impeccable. Becca turned to face him. When did you interview her? Does it matter? Clayton checked his watch. The Patek Philippe, $25,000. We need to leave in 90 minutes. Can you be ready? He left before she could answer. Becca pretended to be asleep when Clayton finally came to bed at 3 in the morning. She lay perfectly still, breathing slow, counting her heartbeats, waiting for him to touch her. He didn't, but that was later. At 6 in the evening, she was descending the grand staircase of the Ashford Estate ballroom, smiling, greeting guests, playing the role of the perfect wife. Margaret appeared at her elbow. Rebecca, darling, you look absolutely radiant. The word radiant meant too big. Becca had learned the Ashford vocabulary over 3 years of marriage. Thank you, Margaret. Have you met Sienna Vale, Clayton's new executive? She's right over there. Margaret gestured across the room. Such a lovely girl, and so accomplished. Vice president at 26, can you imagine? Becca could imagine. She could imagine many things. Sienna stood near the bar, red dress, elegant, form-fitting. She was talking to Clayton. Their heads bent close, comfortable, familiar. I should go greet her, Becca said. Margaret's fingers tightened on her arm, just for a second. Perhaps after dinner, let her enjoy the evening. You know how overwhelming these events can be for newcomers. Translation: stay away from her. Don't make a scene. Protect the family image. Dinner was torture. 8 courses, speeches between each one. Becca sat at the head table, Clayton on her right, an empty seat on her left where Thomas Ashford should have been. He'd sent his regrets. Business in Singapore. Across the room, Sienna laughed at something Marcus Webb said. She touched his arm, the same way she touched Clayton's. Becca ate her salmon, sipped water while others drank wine, felt the baby kick during the fourth speech. A politician talking about family values. The irony wasn't lost on her. Are you feeling all right? Clayton leaned close, his voice low, concerned. Fine. You look pale. I'm pregnant and wearing Spanx under a too-tight dress at a 4-hour dinner. I'm spectacular. He pulled back. There's no need for sarcasm. There's no need for a lot of things. The rest of dinner passed in silence, at least between them. Around them, the gala hummed, money and power and carefully curated happiness. After dessert, Becca excused herself. The bathroom was empty. Thank God. She locked herself in the largest stall, sat on the closed toilet, pressed her palms against her belly. The baby moved, a rolling motion, reassuring. We're okay, she whispered. We're going to be okay. The bathroom door opened. Heels clicked on marble. 2 women. Becca recognized the voices. Amanda, her maid of honor, and someone else. Did you see her dress? Amanda said. Poor thing. She's enormous. Clayton looks miserable. The other woman, Linda, Laura, someone from the foundation board. Well, what did he expect? She got pregnant on purpose. Everyone knows it. Becca froze, but that's uncharitable, Laura or Linda said. But she didn't sound convinced. Oh, please. Cocktail waitress marries billionaire, gets pregnant 6 months later. It's the oldest trick in the book. Becca had been a teacher, not a cocktail waitress, but the truth never mattered in their world. The women left. Becca stayed in the stall, counted tiles on the floor, 9 across, 12 deep, 108 tiles. She focused on the pattern. The geometry, anything but the words. When she finally emerged, she reapplied lipstick, fixed her hair, became Rebecca Ashford again. The role she'd been playing for 3 years. The gala was winding down. Guests departing, promises to lunch, kisses on cheeks. The choreography of wealth. Becca found Clayton in his study. The door was open. He was on his phone, his back to the entrance. No, tomorrow night, he said. When she's gone, we'll have the whole place to ourselves. A pause, I know. I'm tired of pretending too. He turned, saw her. His expression didn't change. I need to go. We'll talk tomorrow. He ended the call. Who was that? Becca asked. Marcus, about the Singapore deal. Marcus is married, with 3 children. I doubt he uses phrases like tired of pretending about business deals. Clayton set his phone on the desk. Are you accusing me of something? Should I be? You're emotional. Pregnancy hormones. Dr. Morrison warned us about this. There it was, the Ashford gaslighting technique. She'd experienced it before. From Margaret, from Thomas, now from Clayton. I'm not emotional, I'm observant. What exactly did you observe? He crossed his arms. Waiting, this was her moment, say it. Confront him, demand the truth. Instead, she said, nothing. You're right, I'm tired. It was a long night. Relief flickered across his face. Go to bed, I'll be up soon. But he wasn't. She knew he wouldn't be. Becca climbed the stairs to their bedroom. Changed into her nightgown, the silk one, lavender. She brushed her teeth, washed her face, went through all the evening rituals. Then she sat on the edge of the bed, stared at her phone, at the contacts list, at Grace's name. Her finger hovered over the call button. But what would she say? My husband is distant. My mother-in-law is passive-aggressive. I overheard a phone call. None of it was evidence. Not really. Maybe she was being emotional. Maybe pregnancy had made her paranoid. She set the phone on the nightstand, turned off the light, lay down in the massive bed. king-sized, Egyptian cotton sheets, 1,000 thread count. More money in the bedding than most people spend on furniture. The baby kicked. She placed her hand over the movement, whispered into the darkness, "I'll protect you. Whatever happens, I'll protect you." It was the first promise she'd make to her child. It would not be the last. 3 hours later, Clayton finally came to bed. He smelled like scotch and expensive cologne. He climbed under the covers, stayed on his side. The distance between them felt like miles. Becca kept her eyes closed, her breathing even, pretended to be asleep. It was easier than facing whatever truth was waiting in the space between them. Morning light filtered through the curtains, soft, golden. Everything looked normal. Becca woke to the smell of coffee. Clayton stood by the bedroom window, 2 cups on the dresser. He was scrolling through his phone. "Morning," she said. He looked up, smiled. "Morning, I brought you decaf and croissants, your favorite." The breakfast sat on a tray, delicate china, fresh flowers in a small vase. Everything perfect. Exactly like the morning she remembered from their early marriage. "What's the occasion?" She sat up slowly. The baby made movement awkward now. "No occasion. I just realized I've been distant lately. The merger, work stress, I took it out on you. That's not fair." He sat on the edge of the bed, took her hand. "Especially not now. Not when you're carrying our child." The words were right. The tone was right. But something felt wrong. Like watching a play where the actors had memorized the lines but forgotten the emotions. "Clayton, last night, that phone call." "Was Marcus," he interrupted. I know it sounded strange, but he was venting about his marriage. His wife's giving him trouble about the Singapore trip. He didn't want to discuss it in front of everyone. The explanation was plausible. Perfect, even. "And Sienna?" The name felt dangerous in her mouth. "Is an employee, a valuable one, but that's all she is." Yet he squeezed her hand. "Rebecca, I know my mother can be difficult. I know this world is difficult. But I chose you. I married you. You're the mother of my child. That means something." She wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe him. "I've been thinking," Clayton continued. "After the baby comes, let's take a trip. Just the three of us. Somewhere quiet. Italy, maybe, or Greece. Somewhere we can be a family." A family. The word hung in the air. Beautiful. Fragile. "That sounds wonderful," she said, and she meant it. Because despite everything, despite the doubts and the distance and the growing sense that something was wrong, she loved him. Or she loved the man she thought he was, the man he'd been when they met. He kissed her forehead. "Finish your breakfast. I have a surprise for you this afternoon." "What kind of surprise?" "If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise." He stood. "I have some calls to make, but I'll be back around 2. Be ready." He left. The door clicker shut behind him. Becca ate the croissant, drank the decaf, tried to ignore the unease settling in her stomach like a stone. By 1:30, she'd showered and dressed. Comfortable clothes, leggings, an oversized sweater. She'd learned that pregnancy meant comfort over style. Clayton returned at exactly 2 o'clock. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready for what?" "Your surprise. Come on." He led her downstairs, not toward the front door, toward the back of the house, the spa wing, a ridiculous addition Margaret had insisted on during renovations. A full spa with massage rooms, a sauna, a meditation garden. "A massage?" Becca asked. "I thought you could use some relaxation. I booked Maria, your favorite therapist." Maria did give excellent massages, prenatal certified. She knew exactly how to work the knots from Becca's lower back. The massage room was dimmed, candles flickered. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Everything was perfect. Except the woman waiting wasn't Maria. She was younger, unfamiliar. She wore the standard uniform. White tunic and pants, hair pulled back. "Where's Maria?" Becca asked. "She called in sick," the woman said. Her voice was pleasant, professional. "I'm Sarah, also prenatal certified. Mr. Ashford wanted to make sure you were comfortable." Clayton touched Becca's shoulder. "I'll be in my study. Take your time. Enjoy." He left before she could protest. Sarah gestured to the massage table. "Whenever you're ready. There's a robe behind the screen. I'll step out while you change. The massage started normally, face-down position modified for pregnancy, a special cushion supporting her belly. Sarah's hands were skilled, professional. Would you like some tea? Sarah asked after 20 minutes. It's a special blend, chamomile and lavender, very calming. That sounds nice. Sarah left briefly, returned with a delicate cup. The tea smelled wonderful, herbal, soothing. Becca drank half the cup. The room tilted, just slightly. She blinked. Must be from lying face down, the blood pressure change. Are you all right? Sarah's voice came from far away. Dizzy, Becca managed. The baby. Perfectly normal. Pregnancy can cause dizziness. Just rest. Close your eyes. Becca tried to sit up. Her arms felt heavy. Wrong. What was in the tea? The words slurred. Just herbs. Nothing harmful, I promise. But Sarah's face was changing, shifting, the features rearranging. And suddenly it wasn't Sarah at all. It was Sienna. Surprise, Sienna said. She wasn't smiling anymore. Becca tried to move, tried to scream. Her body wouldn't cooperate. The drug was working too fast. The door opened. Clayton entered. He looked at Becca, at Sienna. His expression was blank. How much did you give her? He asked. Just enough. It won't harm the baby. I researched it carefully. Help me get her downstairs. They were talking about her like she was furniture, an object to be moved. Becca's vision blurred. She felt hands lifting her. Clayton's expensive cologne mixed with Sienna's perfume. The scents made her nauseous. They carried her through hallways, downstairs, the basement. She tried to fight, tried to stay conscious, but the drug pulled her under like a tide. The last thing she remembered was Clayton's voice. You think you're so much better than everyone else? You're just another gold digger who got pregnant on purpose. Then darkness. When Becca woke in the cage, hours had passed, maybe days. Time had lost meaning in the darkness. She worked her jaw. The gag was still in place. Her wrists ached. At some point, they'd bound them with soft restraints, not tight enough to harm, just tight enough to prevent resistance. Professional, planned, premeditated. The baby moved, a reassuring flutter. At least that was still normal, still hers. She heard voices again, upstairs. Not Clayton and Sienna this time. Clayton and someone else. A man. Are you sure about this? The other voice asked. She'll sign, once she understands she has no choice. And if she doesn't, then we proceed with Plan B, the psychiatric evaluation, the court order. We have everything we need to prove she's unstable. Footsteps, coming closer. Becca closed her eyes, pretended to still be unconscious, listened. The basement door opened. 2 sets of footsteps descended. Clayton and the other man. Jesus Christ, the other man said. This is insane, Clayton. This is necessary. She was going to leave. Take my child. File for divorce. I can't let that happen. So you locked your pregnant wife in a dog cage? Keep your voice down, and it's temporary, just until she signs the papers. Papers. The prenup. She'd signed it 3 years ago. Barely read it. Too in love to care about the details. Clayton and his lawyer, she recognized the voice now, Gerald something, walked around the cage, inspecting, like she was livestock. Wake her up, Clayton said. Gerald hesitated. Maybe we should reconsider. Wake her up. A hand shook her shoulder. Becca kept her eyes closed, her breathing even. She's still out, Gerald said. We should go. Let the sedative wear off naturally. They left. The door closed. Darkness returned. Becca opened her eyes, looked at the cage bars, the water bowl, the dog food. She finally understood. This wasn't a temporary situation. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a trap. Carefully planned, meticulously executed. And she'd walked right into it. The prenup, the one she'd signed without reading. It must have clauses, penalties, ways for Clayton to keep everything if the marriage ended. Her mind raced through possibilities. What had she agreed to? What had she signed away? The baby kicked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 50 strong movements. Becca counted them, synchronized her breathing, tried to think clearly. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for the life inside her, the innocent child who hadn't chosen any of this. Somewhere in the house above, a door slammed. More voices. Sienna's laugh echoed through the heating vents. Becca pressed her bound hands against her belly, felt the baby move under her palms. "I'm sorry," she whispered behind the gag. "I'm so sorry I brought you into this. But I promise you, I promise we're getting out. Both of us." She didn't know how yet, didn't have a plan. But she had something Clayton and Sienna didn't have. She had everything to lose. And people with nothing to lose are dangerous. They just hadn't realized it yet. The basement door opened. Different footsteps this time. Quicker, lighter. Oh my God, Mrs. Ashford?" Dorothy Sullivan, the housekeeper. She wasn't supposed to be here today. Her day off. Keys jangled. The cage door swung open. Hands touched Becca's face. Gentle. Shaking. "What did they do? What did they do to you?" Dorothy removed the gag first. Becca gasped. Her mouth was dry, tasted like cotton and humiliation. "Water," she managed. Dorothy ran upstairs, returned with a glass, helped Becca drink, then worked on the wrist restraints. They fell away. Becca tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't hold her. 6 months pregnant and drugged and trapped in a cage for God knows how long. Her body had given up. "I need to call the police," Dorothy said. "No." Becca grabbed her arm. "Not yet. Help me upstairs first. I need to think." Dorothy was 50 years old, strong from years of manual labor. She supported most of Becca's weight as they climbed the stairs. Through the hallway, to the guest bathroom on the first floor. Becca sat on the closed toilet lid, fully dressed, just stared at the tile pattern. 9 tiles across, 12 down, 108 tiles. She counted them 3 times. "Mrs. Ashford?" Dorothy's voice was soft, careful. "How did you know?" Becca asked. "How did you know to come back?" Dorothy sat on the edge of the bathtub. "I forgot my phone charger. I came back to get it. I heard sounds from the basement. Crying." She looked down. "I've heard sounds before, from Mr. Ashford's study, from different rooms. I've heard things I wasn't supposed to hear." "How long?" Becca's voice was flat. "How long has this been happening?" "The affairs, years. Since before you, since the first wife." First wife, Rachel, the name no one ever mentioned. "Did he?" Becca couldn't finish the question. "Put her in a cage?" "No, but he did other things, made her think she was crazy, controlled her money, her friends. By the end, she signed everything away just to escape." Dorothy reached into her apron pocket, pulled out a small USB drive. "I kept records. I was waiting for someone to need them." Becca took the drive. It was warm from Dorothy's pocket. "What's on it?" "Everything. Photos, audio recordings, financial documents, text messages. I've been cleaning this house for 15 years. I know where they hide things. I know where they're careless." The information settled over Becca like armor. "Why now? Why didn't you help Rachel?" "I tried. She didn't want to fight. She just wanted out." Dorothy met her eyes. "But you're different. You're pregnant. And pregnant women protect their children, even when they won't protect themselves." Becca placed both hands on her belly. The baby rolled beneath her palms, strong, alive. Hers. "I need to leave," she said, "right now, before they come back. Mr. Ashford is at the office. Miss Vale went with him. They won't be home until evening." Dorothy stood. "But you're right. We need to move quickly." They went to the master bedroom. Becca packed a bag, practical items, clothes, documents, the jewelry Clayton had given her. Not sentimental, just valuable. Things she could sell if necessary. Her phone sat on the nightstand. 53 missed calls, all from Clayton. The last voicemail made her blood run cold. "Rebecca, if you don't come back right now, I'm reporting you as mentally unstable. I'll have you committed. I'll tell them you're a danger to yourself and our child. Don't test me. You know I'll do it." She saved the voicemail. Evidence. Dorothy drove her to Grace Holland's apartment, a small 2-bedroom in a middle-class neighborhood. Worlds away from the Ashford estate, Grace answered the door in scrubs. She just finished a shift at the ER. Her expression changed from confusion to horror as Becca explained. We need to call the police, Grace said. The same thing Dorothy had said. We need a lawyer first, Becca countered. If I report this without protection, Clayton will spin it. He'll say I'm unstable, that I staged everything for attention. She touched her belly. He'll take the baby. Grace sat heavily on the couch. This is insane. This is actually insane. I know. You married a monster. I know. You need help, real help. I know. Grace looked at her, really looked, at the bruises on her wrists from the restraints, at the exhaustion in her face, at the protective way she cradled her belly. Okay, Grace said finally. Okay, let me make some calls. I know people at the hospital, doctors who work with domestic violence cases. They'll document everything. Create a record. Dorothy placed the USB drive on the coffee table. And you have this. Whatever you need, whatever will help. Oh, Becca picked up the drive. So small, so powerful. Why are you doing this? You could lose your job, maybe worse. Dorothy's expression hardened. I had a daughter once. She married someone like Mr. Ashford. Charming, wealthy, controlling. She didn't make it out. I won't watch it happen again. Not if I can help. The three women sat in Grace's small living room. Outside, the city hummed with normal life. Inside, they planned war. Because that's what this was. War. And Becca was finally ready to fight. Dr. Sarah Brennan had kind eyes and steady hands. She examined Becca carefully in the guest bedroom of Grace's apartment. The bruising is consistent with restraints, Brennan said. She photographed each mark. Clinical, professional. And you said you were drugged? During a massage. I woke up in the cage. We should do a blood test, see what substances are still in your system. Brennan listened to the baby's heartbeat. Strong, normal. Baby sounds good, but the stress isn't helping. You need rest, safety, stability. I need justice, Becca said. Dr. Brennan smiled. That too. I'll write everything up. Make copies. This will hold up in court if it comes to that. When the doctor left, Grace brought tea. Real tea. Not drugged, not weaponized. 3 lawyers said no, Grace reported. The Ashford name scares people. They don't want the fight. There has to be someone. There is. Robert Hastings. He's older, semi-retired, but he took the call when I mentioned your name. Grace handed her a business card. He wants to meet tomorrow morning. Becca studied the card. Simple. Professional. Robert Hastings, attorney at law. Why would a semi-retired lawyer take my case, she asked. I didn't ask. Maybe call him and find out. Robert Hastings' office was small, cluttered, books everywhere, legal documents stacked on every surface, nothing like the sleek offices of Clayton's lawyers. He was in his 50s, silver hair, tired eyes. When he shook Becca's hand, his grip was firm. Thank you for seeing me, Becca said. Sit, please. He gestured to a worn leather chair. Tell me everything, from the beginning. She did. The whole story, the gala, the phone call, the massage, the cage. As she talked, Robert took notes, asked questions. His expression never changed. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. My daughter married a man like Clayton Ashford, he finally said. Different name, different city, same pattern, control, manipulation, escalation. He looked at her. She didn't survive her marriage. I'm telling you this so you understand why I'm taking your case and why I won't lose. Becca felt tears threaten. She pushed them back. Can you win? Can I? Yes. Will I? That depends on you. This will be ugly, expensive, public. The Ashfords will use every resource they have, every connection, every dollar. He leaned forward. Are you ready for that? Was she? 2 weeks ago, she'd been planning a nursery, choosing paint colors, imagining a future that now seemed impossibly naive. I'm ready, she said. Good. Let's start with this USB drive Dorothy gave you. They spent 3 hours going through the evidence. Photos of Sienna staying overnight at the estate. Text messages between Clayton and Sienna planning their affair. Financial documents showing Clayton had moved significant assets into offshore accounts right before proposing to Becca. He was planning this from the start, Robert said. The prenup, the financial moves, all of it. What about the prenup? Is it valid? Robert pulled out the document, read through it carefully. There are clauses here that are extremely problematic. If the marriage ends before the child is born, you get nothing. If you're deemed an unfit mother, custody automatically goes to him. These clauses are unconscionable. Meaning? Meaning they're so one-sided, so unfair, that a court might throw them out entirely. He looked up. Were you pregnant when you signed this? Yes, 3 months. But I didn't tell Clayton yet. Did he know? I don't think so. I found out the day before our wedding. I was going to tell him on our honeymoon. Robert made a note. If he didn't know and you didn't know you were pregnant when signing, the prenup was signed under false pretenses. Add in the fact that you were coerced, rushed to sign before the wedding, and we have grounds to challenge it. Hope stirred in Becca's chest, real hope. What about the cage, she asked. What he did to me? False imprisonment, assault, possibly kidnapping, depending on how the prosecutor wants to charge it. Robert's expression darkened. And Sienna Vale is an accomplice. Conspiracy to commit multiple felonies. They documented their own crimes, Rebecca. That recording she made, that's evidence against her. So we have a case? We have a case, a strong one. But here's what happens next. I file a restraining order, document the abuse, get you temporary custody of the unborn child, which means Clayton can't force medical decisions. Then we file for divorce and challenge the prenup simultaneously. It sounded so simple, so clean. What will Clayton do? Becca asked. He'll fight. He'll claim you're lying. He'll paint you as unstable. He'll use his money and connections to make your life hell. Robert paused. But here's what he won't expect. We don't fight in family court. We go criminal. Press charges, get the police involved, make this about justice, not money. Becca's phone buzzed. Another call from Clayton. The 20th today. Don't answer, Robert advised. Everything goes through me now. You don't speak to him. You don't see him. All communication goes through legal channels. He threatened to have me committed. He said he'd tell people I'm mentally unstable. Let him try. We have Dr. Brennan's evaluation. We have evidence of his crimes. If he pushes that narrative, it backfires, makes him look more guilty. Robert stood, extended his hand. Welcome to the fight, Rebecca. You're not alone anymore. As Becca left the office, her phone buzzed again. Not Clayton this time. Unknown number. She answered. Mrs. Ashford, this is Clayton Ashford's attorney. We have an offer we'd like to discuss. $10 million, immediate payment. In exchange, you drop all claims. Sign an NDA. Give up custody rights. A pause. You have 24 hours to decide. Becca looked at the card Robert had given her, his number written on the back. I have an attorney now, she said. All offers go through him. She hung up, and for the first time since waking in that cage, she felt powerful. Margaret Ashford appeared at Grace's apartment the next morning. Uninvited. Unwelcome. How did you get this address? Grace demanded from the doorway. I'm not here to cause trouble. Margaret's voice was calm, reasonable. I just want to talk to Rebecca. Mother to mother. Becca appeared behind Grace. It's fine. Let her in. They sat in the living room, Margaret in the worn armchair, Becca on the couch, Grace hovering nearby, protective. Margaret set her purse on the coffee table. Hermes, $20,000. Becca knew because she'd been gifted one for her first anniversary. She'd never carried it, too afraid to scratch it, too aware it cost more than her mother made in a year. She stared at that purse and thought, I married into a family where love costs $20,000 and loyalty costs $50 million. You must understand, Margaret began, Clayton is under tremendous stress. The merger, the company, he's not thinking clearly. He locked me in a dog cage. He made a terrible mistake. But men do foolish things when they're afraid, when they feel trapped. I'm the one who was trapped, literally. Margaret sighed. Rebecca, I'm trying to help you. I'm offering you a way out. $50 million, more than the $10 million Clayton's lawyers offered. You leave the country, start fresh, raise your child somewhere beautiful. Italy, France, anywhere you want. And Clayton gets what he wants. The marriage ends quietly. No scandal, no courts. Everyone moves on. Becca studied her mother-in-law, the perfect hair, the perfect makeup, the perfect mask hiding everything underneath. "Did you know," she asked, "about the cage? I knew Clayton was struggling with the pregnancy. I didn't know the extent of his actions." "That's not an answer." Margaret's composure cracked, just slightly. "I've spent 40 years protecting this family, building this name. I won't let you destroy it." "I'm not destroying anything. Your son did that himself. You're carrying my grandchild. You didn't care about that when your son imprisoned me." Margaret stood, paced to the window, looked out at the ordinary street, the ordinary lives. "You don't understand our world," she said. "The pressures, the expectations, what it means to maintain a legacy. I understand enough. I understand that your legacy includes violence, control, abuse. Don't be dramatic." "Dramatic? I have bruises on my wrists. I was drugged. I woke up in a cage while your son and his mistress laughed upstairs. That's not dramatic. That's criminal." Margaret turned, her expression hardened. "If you pursue this, we will destroy you. Every resource we have, every connection. We'll call witnesses who will testify you've been unstable for months. We'll present medical evidence of psychological issues. We'll make sure no one believes you." "I have evidence too." "Of what? A domestic dispute? He'll say it was role-playing, consensual, that you're twisting everything because you're angry about Sienna." Becca stood, faced her mother-in-law. "You did this to Rachel too, didn't you? The first wife. You paid her off, made her disappear." Margaret's silence was answer enough. "How much?" Becca pressed. "How much was her silence worth?" 20 million, and she was grateful. Grateful to escape your son? I bet she was. Margaret collected her purse. "You have 48 hours. Take the money, leave quietly, or we go to war. And trust me, you won't survive." After she left, Becca sat in the small living room, overwhelmed, exhausted. Grace brought tea, sat beside her. "You can still take the money." "No, I can't." $50 million, Becca, that's life-changing money. It's blood money, and it means the next woman suffers, and the woman after that. She looked at Grace. "How many women has Clayton hurt? How many has this family paid off? That's not your responsibility to fix." "Maybe not, but it's my responsibility to try." Her phone rang. Robert. "We have a problem," he said, without preamble. "Clayton filed an emergency custody motion. Claims you're mentally unstable, fled your home, endangered the baby. He's asking the court to order you to return to the estate pending evaluation." "Can he do that?" "He can file anything. Doesn't mean he'll win, but we need to respond fast. I'm filing our own motion, restraining order, emergency protective order, and I'm contacting the police, making a formal report." "Will they believe me against the Ashfords?" "They will when they see the evidence. Dorothy's recordings, the cage in the basement, the medical records. This isn't he said, she said anymore. This is documented abuse." After the call ended, Becca sat very still. The baby moved inside her. A reminder. A reason. She thought about the cage, the humiliation, the fear. Then she thought about $50 million, a new life. Safety. But safety bought with silence wasn't real safety. It was just a prettier cage. Grace sat beside her. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that I was that woman 8 months ago. Happy, oblivious, planning a future with a man and I thought I knew." She placed her hands on her belly. "I'm thinking that if Rachel had spoken up, maybe I'd have known. Maybe I'd have made different choices." "So you're fighting?" "I'm fighting." "Okay, then I'm fighting with you, Amelia." The words were simple, but they mattered, because Becca wasn't alone, not anymore. She had Grace. She had Dorothy. She had Robert. She had Dr. Brennan. She had people who believed her, people who saw the truth beneath the Ashford polish. And sometimes that was enough to start a revolution. Marcus Webb looked like every investigative journalist she'd seen in movies. Slightly rumpled, tired eyes, notebook always in hand. He met them at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. Grace and Becca on one side of the table, Marcus on the other. "I've been investigating the Ashford family for 3 years," he said without preamble. Business dealings, political connections, allegations that never went anywhere. He pulled out a folder. Then I heard about your case. From who? Becca asked. A mutual friend, someone concerned about your safety. He opened the folder. Rebecca, you're not the first. He laid out 3 photos. 3 women, different faces, different ages, same hollow expression in their eyes. Rachel Chen, Clayton's first wife, married 2 years, divorced 6 years ago, moved to Oregon, refuses to discuss the marriage. Becca touched the first photo. Rachel, the name no one ever mentioned. Emily Parker, girlfriend before Rachel. Relationship lasted 8 months, got pregnant. Clayton pressured her into an abortion. She was 22. The second photo, a young woman, too young to have faced what she'd faced. Victoria Santos, girlfriend between Emily and Rachel, miscarried at 4 months. Has medical records suggesting her fall wasn't accidental. The third photo, Victoria looked angry in this picture. Good. There's a pattern, Marcus said. Clayton dates women outside his social circle. Women with less money, less power. He gets them pregnant or nearly does. Then something happens. They leave. They stay quiet. Sienna helped him, Becca said. She's done this before. She has. She was his assistant when he dated Victoria, helped coordinate the medical appointments after the miscarriage, made sure Victoria signed all the right papers. Becca felt sick. How is she not in prison? Money, lawyers, NDAs that cost 6 figures to break. Marcus leaned forward. But here's the thing. You're different. You're his wife. You're pregnant. And he crossed a line even his family's money might not cover. What do you want from me? She asked. I want to tell your story, with your permission. I want to write the article that exposes what the Ashford family has been doing for years. That makes me a target. You're already a target, but it also makes you protected. Once the story is public, they can't hurt you without proving everything you've said. Bad for business. Bad for their image. Grace shook her head. This is dangerous. The Ashfords will retaliate. They're already retaliating, Marcus pointed out. Emergency custody motions. Threats. Margaret's visit. It's going to get worse before it gets better. He was right. Becca knew he was right. I need to think about it, she said. Fair enough, but think fast. Clayton's lawyers are working overtime. Every day you wait is another day they build their case against you. After Marcus left, Becca stared at the 3 photos. Rachel, Emily, Victoria. They all stayed silent, she said. And look what happened. He just found someone new. You don't owe them anything, Grace said gently. You don't owe anyone anything. I owe my daughter better than this. Becca touched her belly. I owe her a world where men like Clayton face consequences. That night, Becca couldn't sleep. She lay in Grace's guest bed, stared at the ceiling, counted heartbeats. At 2 in the morning, she called Marcus. I'll do the interview, she said, but I have conditions. I want to find the other women first. I want them to tell their stories too, all of us together. That's a big ask. They've been silent for years. Then I'll ask them myself. Give me their contact information. There was a pause, then, okay. But Rebecca, be prepared. Not everyone wants to relive their trauma. Not everyone wants justice more than they want peace. She understood. God, did she understand. But she had to try. Rachel lived in Oregon now. Small house, suburban neighborhood. She answered the door in yoga pants and a sweatshirt. When she saw Becca, her expression changed. I know who you are, Rachel said. I know what happened. Can we talk? Becca asked. Rachel hesitated, then stepped aside. 10 minutes. They sat in Rachel's living room. Photos on the mantle. Rachel with a kind-looking man. Rachel laughing at a beach. Rachel living a different life. I moved on, Rachel said. I don't want to go back. I understand, but Rachel, he's doing it again. To me. And if we don't stop him, there will be someone after me. And someone after her. What do you want from me? Your story. Your testimony. Help me show the pattern. Rachel's hands trembled. You don't know what you're asking. The Ashfords destroyed me, emotionally, financially. It took years to rebuild. I know, but if you'd spoken up, don't. Rachel's voice was sharp. Don't blame me for his choices. I survived. That was enough. Becca felt tears threaten. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to blame you. I'm trying to save myself. And I can't do it alone. Rachel stared at her for a long moment, saw the desperation, the fear, the determination. What did he do to you? She asked quietly. He locked me in a cage. His mistress helped. They drugged me, bound me, humiliated me. Becca's voice broke. I'm 6 months pregnant and he locked me in a dog cage. Rachel closed her eyes. Jesus Christ. Please, Becca whispered. Please help me. When Rachel opened her eyes, something had shifted. I'll testify. I'll tell my story, but I need protection. Legal protection. I can't have them come after me again. Robert Hastings is my lawyer. He'll protect you. Okay. Rachel took a shaky breath. What do you need? Emily lived in Seattle. She worked as a paralegal. When Becca called, Emily agreed to meet immediately. They sat in a coffee shop. Emily looked older than 29. The years had been hard. I've been waiting, Emily said, waiting for someone to have the courage to fight back. You wanted to fight? I wanted to, but I was 22, broke, scared. Clayton's lawyers threatened me, said if I talked, they'd destroy my future, so I signed the NDA, took the money, had the abortion. Emily's eyes filled with tears. I regret it every day. Then help me make sure no one else has to regret it. Emily nodded. I kept everything. Emails, text messages, medical records. I knew someday I'd need them. Victoria was the hardest. She lived in California now, worked as a therapist. She'd turned her trauma into purpose. I've been helping women leave abusive relationships for 5 years, Victoria said when they met, because of what Clayton did to me. Will you tell your story? I'll do more than that. I'll testify. I'll provide medical records. And I'll make sure every woman in my network knows what the Ashford family is capable of. They met at Grace's apartment, 4 women around a coffee table. Strangers, sisters. Becca made chamomile tea. Her hands shook pouring it. Rachel steadied the pot. They didn't need to say anything. Their presence said everything. Marcus set up his recording equipment. Robert sat nearby. Legal protection. Tell me your stories, Marcus said gently, starting from the beginning. One by one they spoke. Rachel described the gaslighting, the control, the isolation. Emily talked about the pressure to abort, the threats, the money that felt like blood money. Victoria recounted the fall, the miscarriage, the suspicion that it wasn't an accident, and Becca described the cage. When they finished, Marcus turned off the recorder. This is powerful. This changes everything. When will you publish? Robert asked. I need a few days to fact-check, verify details, but soon. After Marcus left, the 4 women sat together, exhausted, relieved. What happens now? Emily asked. Now we wait, Robert said, and we prepare for the Ashfords to strike back, because they will. He was right. That night, Becca received a text from an unknown number. A photo, her and the other women, taken through Grace's window. The message below was simple. You made your choice. Now we make ours. The private investigator's photos arrived the next morning. Becca and the other women leaving Grace's apartment, Marcus Webb at the coffee shop, Robert Hastings at his office. They're documenting everything, Robert said, studying the images, building a counter-narrative. What kind of narrative? Becca asked. That you're conspiring, coordinating stories, that this is a shakedown, 4 women working together to extract money from a wealthy family. That's insane. That's effective. If they can show coordination, they undermine credibility. Grace paced the living room. What about Marcus's article? Doesn't that help? It will, but it also escalates things. Once it's public, the Ashfords can't control the narrative anymore. They'll have to respond, and their response will be aggressive. Becca's phone rang, Clayton's mother again. She ignored it. There's something else, Robert said. He looked uncomfortable. Clayton's lawyers contacted each of the other women separately, offered money, significant money, to recant their stories. Rachel spoke up. How much? $5 million each. The number hung in the air, heavy, tempting. That's $15 million total, Emily said. to make 3 women disappear again. Will you take it? Becca asked. She tried to keep her voice neutral. Rachel shook her head. No, I took money before. It didn't buy me peace, just guilt. Emily nodded agreement. I'm done being silent. Victoria crossed her arms. They can't buy all of us. Not anymore. Relief flooded Becca's chest. Thank you. All of you. Don't thank us yet, Rachel said. This is about to get ugly. She was right. That afternoon, Margaret Ashford held a press conference. Unannounced. Unexpected. Grace turned on the television. They watched in horror. Margaret stood behind a podium, poised, perfect, the grieving mother. My son is the victim of a coordinated effort to extort money from our family, she said. Her voice trembled just slightly, calculated emotion. Rebecca Morrison, his estranged wife, has fabricated allegations with the help of 3 other women. Women who previously received financial settlements and signed legal agreements not to disparage our family. That's a lie, Victoria said. We signed NDAs, not settlement agreements. Margaret continued, my son loved his wife. He's devastated by her betrayal, but he will not be manipulated. He will not allow false allegations to destroy his reputation. Our family has engaged the best legal team in the country. We will defend ourselves vigorously. The press conference lasted 10 minutes. Every word carefully chosen. Every implication precisely placed. When it ended, Becca felt sick. She's good, Rachel said. She's really good. She's had practice, Emily added. How many times has she done this? How many women has she paid off? Robert's phone rang. He stepped away to answer, returned looking grim. That was Marcus. The magazine just pulled his article. What? Becca stood. Why? Ashford's lawyers threatened a lawsuit, defamation. The magazine doesn't want to fight. They're killing the story. So we have nothing? Grace asked. We have everything we had before. The article would have helped, but it's not essential. Robert looked at each of them. This is the moment. They're pressing every advantage, using every resource. They want you to fold, to give up, to take their money and disappear. I'm not disappearing, Becca said. Good, because I filed criminal charges this morning. False imprisonment, assault, conspiracy. The police are investigating. Will they arrest Clayton? Victoria asked. If the evidence supports it, yes. But understand, this is no longer just divorce court. This is criminal court. The stakes are higher. The scrutiny is deeper. Becca's phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. This time a video link. She clicked it. Her hands shook. The video showed the basement cage. Empty, clean, no evidence of anything. The message, you think anyone will believe you? We removed everything. It's your word against ours. They cleaned up, Becca said. She felt panic rising. They removed the evidence. Robert took the phone, watched the video. Doesn't matter. We have photos, Dorothy's documentation, your medical records. Physical evidence isn't the only evidence. But Becca could see the concern in his eyes. That night, Becca couldn't sleep. Again, she sat in Grace's guest room. Folded baby clothes, yellow onesies, white sleepers, mint green blankets. She organized them by size. Newborn, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Plans for a future she wasn't sure she'd have. Grace appeared in the doorway. You okay? I'm folding clothes at 2 in the morning. What do you think? Grace sat on the bed. I think you're terrified. I think you're exhausted. I think you're wondering if this is worth it. Is it? Am I destroying my life for nothing? You're fighting for your child's life. That's not nothing. Becca held up a tiny yellow onesie. What if I lose? What if Clayton gets custody? What if you win? Grace interrupted. What if you stand up to them and actually win? People like me don't win against people like them. Then let's change that. Let's make you the first. Simple words. Impossible promise. But Becca wanted to believe them. The next morning brought news. Good and bad. Good. The police had obtained a warrant to search the Ashford estate. Dorothy's testimony and the medical records were enough. Bad. Clayton had filed an emergency motion to relocate. Said he needed to move to Singapore for business. Wanted to leave the country while the investigation was pending. He's running, Robert said. Classic guilty behavior. The court won't like it. Will they stop him? Becca asked. If we move fast, yes. They moved fast. By evening, the court had denied Clayton's motion, ordered him to remain in the jurisdiction, seized his passport. Small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Suaya. The police search of the estate happened 2 days later. Becca watched the news coverage, saw officers entering her former home, saw Margaret's composed face as she spoke to reporters, saw Clayton nowhere. Dorothy called that night. They found the cage, she said. Her voice shook. They took photos, collected evidence. Mr. Ashford's lawyer was furious. Thank you, Dorothy, for everything. Mrs. Ashford, there's something else. Something I found in Mr. Ashford's study. Papers, contracts. She paused. Sienna Vale isn't just his mistress. She's his business partner. They've been planning something, some kind of deal, and your pregnancy was interfering with the timeline. The pieces clicked together, the rush to marry, the prenup, the cage. It was never about love. It was about control, about clearing obstacles. Send me everything, Becca said. Every document you can find. I already did. Check your email. Becca opened her laptop, found Dorothy's email, downloaded the attachments, contracts, financial statements, business plans, and one document that made everything clear. A partnership agreement between Clayton Ashford and Sienna Vale, dated 6 months before his wedding to Becca. Plans to merge two companies, create a billion-dollar empire. With one clause that explained everything. Partners must be unmarried and unencumbered by dependents to maintain company control. Becca had been an obstacle. The pregnancy had been a disaster. The cage had been the solution. She called Robert. I found the motive. I found why they did this. Send it to me. Now. She did. An hour later, Robert called back. This is it. This is what we needed. Clayton and Sienna planned this together. The cage wasn't just abuse. It was part of a business strategy to force you out so they could complete their deal. What does that mean legally? It means they're both facing serious charges, and it means your custody battle just became much easier. No judge will give custody to someone who imprisoned their pregnant wife for financial gain. For the first time since the cage, Becca felt something like hope, real hope, solid hope, the kind that might actually last. The contractions started at 3 in the morning, sharp, regular, too early. I'm only 7 months, Becca gasped. It's too early. Grace drove her to the hospital, fast, through empty streets. Becca counted contractions, timed them, 5 minutes apart, 4, 3. The emergency room was chaos. Bright lights, questions, hands helping her onto a gurney. Dr. Brennan appeared, calm, professional. Let's see what's happening. Try to relax. Relax, as if that were possible. They wheeled her to labor and delivery. Monitors, IV lines. The baby's heartbeat loud in the room. The stress isn't helping, Dr. Brennan said. We need to stop these contractions. If we can keep the baby in for even a few more weeks, the outcome improves significantly. They gave her medicine. Becca lay back, stared at the ceiling tiles, counted them to stay calm. 1 tile, 2 tiles, 3. The contraction peaked. She breathed through it. The baby monitor beeped. Steady heartbeat, stronger than hers. She thought, you're a fighter. You got that from me. Grace held her hand. You're doing great. I'm terrified. You're allowed to be. The contractions slowed. The medicine was working. Dr. Brennan looked relieved. We're going to keep you overnight. Monitor both of you. If everything stays stable, you can go home tomorrow. Becca nodded, exhausted. That's when he appeared. Clayton Ashford stood in the doorway, expensive suit, lawyer beside him, expression carefully neutral. Get out, Grace said immediately. I have parental rights, Clayton said. This is my child, too. You lost those rights when you locked her in Iowa, Grace shot back. Dr. Brennan stepped between them. This is a hospital, not a courtroom. Everyone needs to leave except the patient. Clayton's lawyer spoke up. My client has the right to be present for medical decisions regarding his unborn child. Your client is under investigation for assaulting that unborn child's mother, Grace said. He has no rights here. Security arrived. Finally, two officers. They assessed the situation. "Sir, you need to leave," one officer said to Clayton. "I'm the father. I have legal—" "Sir, leave or we'll escort you out." Clayton met Becca's eyes across the room. His expression was cold, calculating. "This isn't over," he said. "It is for today," the officer replied. They ushered him out. His lawyer followed, still protesting. When they were gone, Becca started to cry. Not gentle tears, wrenching sobs. Grace held her. "He can't hurt you. Not here, not with all these witnesses." But he already had, just by appearing, just by reminding her that he still had power, still had lawyers, still had the ability to insert himself into her life. Dr. Brennan sat on the edge of the bed. "Rebecca, listen to me. Your baby needs you calm, strong. Can you do that?" Becca nodded, wiped her eyes. "I can try." "Good. I'm going to stay here tonight, on call. If anything changes, I'll be right here." "Thank you." The night passed slowly. Becca dozed between nurse checks. Grace slept in the chair beside the bed. The hospital hummed with activity. Other labors, other births, other stories happening in parallel. At 6 in the morning, another contraction hit. Weaker this time. The medicine was still working. But then the door opened again. Sienna Vale walked in, wearing expensive clothes, perfect makeup. She looked like she belonged, like she had every right to be there. "What are you doing here?" Becca demanded. "I came to see if you're okay. I was concerned." "Get out." "I just wanted to tell you," Sienna continued, ignoring her, "that we have a video from the cage. Your voice, saying yes, saying you wanted it, that it was a game." She smiled. "Your choice, Rebecca. Walk away quietly or I release the video. Let the world decide if you're a victim or a willing participant." Grace stood. "That's blackmail, and you're lying." "Am I? Let's let the internet decide." Sienna turned to leave. 48 hours, make your choice, she left. The door swung shut behind her. Becca stared at the ceiling, at the tiles she'd counted earlier, at the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. She thought about the video, the humiliation, the public shame. She thought about $50 million, about Italy, about running. Then she thought about her daughter, about the life growing inside her, about what she'd tell her child someday when they asked why mommy ran. "Do it," Becca said. "Release the video. Show everyone what you're capable of." Grace stared at her. "What?" "I'm done hiding. I'm done letting them control the narrative. If she releases the video, people will see what they did. They'll see the cage, the humiliation, the abuse." Becca sat up. "Let them try to spin that." "That's incredibly brave," Grace said. "Or incredibly stupid. Maybe both." The door opened again, this time a different visitor. Thomas Ashford, Clayton's father. He looked older than Becca remembered. Tired, ashamed. "Mrs. Morrison," he said formally, "may I speak with you, alone?" Grace looked at Becca. "You don't have to." "It's okay." Becca nodded. 5 minutes. Grace left reluctantly. Thomas sat in the chair she'd vacated. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I knew. Not everything, but enough. I knew my son was troubled. I knew the pattern. I told myself it was just bad luck, bad timing, poor choices." He looked at his hands. "I was wrong. I was a coward." "Why are you here?" Becca asked. "Because I won't let him destroy another life. My son is a monster. I didn't raise him to be, but he is. And I can't keep protecting him." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'll testify. Against my own son, I'll provide financial records, emails, evidence of the pattern, everything you need." Becca studied him, searching for the trap. "Why?" "Because I have a daughter too. Someone I never talk about. She married young, her husband was abusive. I didn't believe her. I chose him over her. Family, loyalty." He met her eyes. "She died 6 years ago. Overdose. I'll never forgive myself." The words hung between them. Heavy. True. "I'm sorry," Becca said. "Don't be sorry. Be strong. Fight him, win. And when you do, make sure everyone knows. Make sure the next woman knows. The one he'd target after you. Make sure she never ends up in a cage." He stood. Dorothy has been my informant for months. She's been sending me evidence, building a case. I was waiting for the right time. He smiled sadly. I should have acted sooner. I'm acting now. After he left, Becca sat very still. The baby moved inside her, a reassuring flutter. Grace returned. What did he want? To help, actually help. Do you believe him? I don't know, but I think I have to try. The contractions stopped by evening. Dr. Brennan released her the next morning. Strict bed rest, no stress, impossible instructions. As they left the hospital, Becca's phone buzzed. Robert, we have a problem, he said, and a solution. Which do you want first? Problem. Clayton filed an emergency custody motion. Claims you endangered the baby by fleeing your home, by causing stress, by refusing medical care. That's insane. I'm following every medical instruction. I know, which brings me to the solution. Thomas Ashford just submitted a sworn affidavit, contradicting everything Clayton claimed, supporting your version of events, and providing evidence of Clayton's business dealings with Sienna. Will it help? It'll help. It won't guarantee anything, but it helps. Becca closed her eyes. What happens next? Next, we go to court. We present evidence. We let the judge decide. But Rebecca, we have a real chance now, a real shot at winning. Winning, the word felt foreign, impossible. But maybe, just maybe, it was possible after all. The courthouse steps were chaos, reporters, cameras, people shouting questions. Robert guided Becca through the crowd, Grace on her other side. Shield formation. Inside was quieter, the wood-paneled hallway, the smell of old paper and justice postponed. Clayton was already there, with his team of lawyers, 6 of them, all expensive, all polished. He didn't look at her. Margaret sat in the gallery, alone. Thomas wasn't there. He'd submitted his testimony in writing. Refused to face his wife. The judge entered. Everyone stood, the ballet of the courtroom. Judge Patricia Winters was 60 years old. Silver hair, sharp eyes. She'd seen everything in 30 years on the bench. Let's begin, she said. This is a preliminary hearing for emergency custody and restraining order motions. Mr. Hastings, you're representing Mrs. Morrison. Robert stood. Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Castellano, you're representing Mr. Ashford? Clayton's lead attorney stood. Expensive suit, practiced smile. Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed the motions. I've read the affidavits. This is an unusual case. Mr. Castellano, your client claims his wife is mentally unstable and fled their home without cause. Yet Mrs. Morrison claims she was imprisoned and assaulted. These are serious allegations. Your Honor, Castellano began, my client's wife is experiencing pregnancy-related psychological issues. She's made false accusations, coordinated with other women to create a narrative. This is a shakedown, pure and simple. Robert stood. Your Honor, we have medical evidence, police reports, witness testimony, physical evidence of a cage in the basement of the Ashford estate. This isn't a narrative. It's documented abuse. Judge Winters held up her hand. I'll hear testimony. Let's start with Mrs. Morrison. Becca took the stand. Her hand shook as she placed it on the Bible. She swore to tell the truth. Robert approached. Mrs. Morrison, please tell the court what happened on the evening of March 15th. Becca took a breath, then told the story. The massage, the drugged tea, waking in the cage. She kept her voice steady. Clinical. Let the facts speak. When she finished, Castellano stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Morrison, you claim you were drugged, but you have no proof of what substance, do you? Blood tests showed sedatives in my system. Sedatives prescribed by your own doctor for pregnancy-related anxiety, correct? No, I wasn't prescribed anything. Castellano held up a paper. Your medical records show a prescription for low-dose sedatives dated 2 weeks before the alleged incident. Becca felt ice in her veins. That's not my signature. It's in your medical file. Then someone falsified it. Judge Winters intervened. Mr. Castellano, do you have proof this prescription is legitimate? It's in the official medical records, Your Honor. That's not what I asked. Do you have proof Mrs. Morrison actually received and took these medications willingly? Castellano hesitated. The records speak for themselves. The records are in question. Continue. Castellano switched tactics. Mrs. Morrison, you claim there was a PA, yet when police searched the estate, they found a dog crate, a large one certainly, but it was clean, unused, in storage. Because they cleaned it, they removed evidence. Or because there was no evidence to remove. You have a history of emotional behavior, don't you? Crying at social events, anxiety. Your own mother-in-law has expressed concern. Objection, Robert said. Hearsay. Sustained. But the damage was done. The implication hung in the air. Unstable, emotional, unreliable. After an hour, the judge called a recess. Becca returned to her seat, shaking, exhausted. You did well, Robert whispered. He didn't land anything significant. But it didn't feel that way. When court resumed, Robert called Dorothy Sullivan. Dorothy took the stand, nervous but determined. She told about finding Becca in the cage, about the recordings she'd made, about the evidence she'd collected over the years. Castellano tried to discredit her. You were paid by Mr. Ashford. Isn't this revenge for being terminated? I wasn't terminated, I quit, after I found Mrs. Ashford imprisoned in a dog cage. You claim to have recordings, yet you didn't give them to police immediately. Because I was afraid. The Ashford family has power. Money. I've seen what they do to people who cross them. So you admit you're biased against my client? I'm biased against people who hurt pregnant women. A murmur rippled through the gallery. Judge Winters gavelled for silence. Next came Dr. Brennan. She testified about Becca's injuries, the bruising, the psychological trauma, the medical evidence of abuse. Then Thomas Ashford's affidavit was read into the record. His testimony about the pattern, about Rachel, about the business deal with Sienna. When it was read, Margaret stood up. Her face was pale. She looked at Clayton, then walked out of the courtroom. The judge watched her go, then turned to Castellano. Does your client wish to testify? Castellano conferred with Clayton. Whispered conversation. Finally, no, Your Honor. He declines. Very well. Closing statements. Robert stood. Your Honor, the evidence is clear. Mr. Ashford imprisoned his pregnant wife. He drugged her, restrained her, humiliated her. He did this with the help of his business partner and mistress, Sienna Vale. He did this not out of passion or anger, but as part of a calculated plan to force his wife out of their marriage so he could complete a business transaction. This wasn't a domestic dispute. This was a crime. Mrs. Morrison is asking for protection, for safety, for the basic right to raise her child without fear. We urge the court to grant the restraining order in emergency custody. Castellano's closing was smooth, polished. Your Honor, we have a woman who, by her own admission, has been under tremendous stress. Pregnancy, social pressure. She's made allegations that are impossible to prove. Yes, there was a dog crate in the basement. It belonged to a former pet. Yes, she had sedatives in her system. She was prescribed them for anxiety. My client is guilty only of having a difficult marriage, of making mistakes, of having an affair which, while morally wrong, is not criminal. The court should not punish him by denying him access to his unborn child. The judge was silent for a long moment, reading notes, considering. Finally, she spoke. I've heard testimony from both sides. I've reviewed the evidence, and I'm troubled, deeply troubled. She looked at Clayton. Mr. Ashford, stand up. Clayton stood. His expression was neutral. I don't know exactly what happened in your home, but I know something did. The medical evidence is compelling. The testimony is credible, and your own father's affidavit suggests a pattern of behavior that concerns me greatly. She turned to Becca. Mrs. Morrison, I'm granting your request for a temporary restraining order. Mr. Ashford is to have no contact with you. He may not come within 500 feet of you. He may not contact you directly or indirectly. Relief flooded through Becca. She felt Grace squeeze her hand. As for custody, the judge continued, the child isn't born yet, but I'm ordering that Mr. Ashford have no involvement in medical decisions during the pregnancy. Mrs. Morrison has sole authority. When the child is born, we'll revisit custody, But for now, supervised visitation only, if any visitation at all. Castellano stood. Your Honor, this is my ruling. If Mr. Ashford doesn't like it, he can appeal. But I'm also referring this case to the district attorney. The criminal allegations are serious enough to warrant prosecution. That's outside my jurisdiction, but I'm making the referral. She gavelled. Court adjourned. Everyone stood. The judge left. Becca sat very still, trying to process, trying to believe. We won, Robert said. The first round anyway, we won. Outside, the reporters were waiting. Questions shouted, cameras flashing. Robert held up his hand. Mrs. Morrison will not be taking questions, but I will read a brief statement. He pulled out a paper. Today, the court recognized what we've known all along. Rebecca Morrison is a victim of serious crimes. She deserves protection. She deserves justice. And she will continue to fight until she gets both. The Ashford family's wealth and power do not place them above the law. Thank you. They pushed through to Robert's car, drove away from the chaos. In the back seat, Becca finally let herself cry. Not from sadness, from relief, from exhaustion, from hope. What happens now? She asked. Now, the district attorney decides whether to file charges. Clayton's lawyers will try to negotiate, but with Thomas's testimony and Dorothy's evidence, they have a strong case. Will he go to prison? Maybe, probably not for long given his resources, but he'll have a record. He'll lose business opportunities, and most importantly, you'll be safe. Safe. The word felt fragile, breakable, but it was a start. 3 weeks later, the district attorney filed charges, 4 counts of false imprisonment, 2 counts of assault, 1 count of conspiracy with Sienna Vale. Sienna was arrested at her office, walked out in handcuffs. The photos made every news outlet. Clayton turned himself in, posted bail immediately. $2 million. Nothing to him, but the damage was done. His reputation was shattered. Business partners were distancing themselves. The merger with Sienna's company was dead. Margaret filed for divorce from Thomas. The Ashford family was imploding from within. And Becca? She moved into a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy, but it was hers. Grace helped her set up the nursery, yellow walls, white furniture, books on shelves ready for when her daughter was old enough to hear stories. Rachel visited, then Emily, then Victoria. The 4 women who'd survived Clayton Ashford sat together, drinking tea, talking about the future. Have you thought about names? Rachel asked. Becca touched her belly. 8 months now. Almost time. Hope. I'm thinking of naming her Hope. Perfect, Emily said. After everything, hope is what we all need. The trial was scheduled for 6 months later, but it never happened. Clayton took a plea deal, guilty to 2 counts of assault, sentenced to 1 year in prison, 5 years probation, mandatory therapy, permanent restraining order. Sienna took a similar deal, 6 months, 3 years probation. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough, but it was something. Hope Elizabeth Morrison was born on a Tuesday morning in April. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, perfect, healthy, beautiful. Grace was there, and Dorothy, and Dr. Brennan. Robert sent flowers, so did Rachel and Emily and Victoria. Thomas sent a card. It said simply, I'm sorry for everything. I've established a foundation in your daughter's name. For survivors, so this doesn't happen to anyone else. Margaret sent nothing, but that was fine. Becca didn't need anything from her. Clayton was in prison when Hope was born. He'd requested to be present. The request was denied. Becca held her daughter and thought about the journey, about the PAT, about the fear, about finding strength she didn't know she had. You're safe now, she whispered to Hope. We both are. And for the first time in months, she believed it. The apartment was small but full. Hope slept in her bassinet. The morning sun filtered through cheap curtains. Nothing like the mansion. Nothing like the life Becca had before. It was better. Rachel knocked on the door at 10. She'd brought her children. 2 boys who played quietly with blocks while the women talked. How are you sleeping? Rachel asked. I'm not, Becca laughed. But that's parenthood, right? It gets easier, I promise. They drank coffee. Talked about normal things, pediatrician appointments, sleep schedules, the ordinary concerns of mothers everywhere. Hope stirred, made a sound, not quite a cry, just waking. Becca lifted her from the bassinet, held her close. The baby's tiny hand gripped her finger. Tight, so tight. She thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, planning charity galas, choosing paint colors, living a life that looked perfect from the outside. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger, scarred but surviving, broken in places but healing. I've been thinking, Becca said, about starting a support group for women leaving abusive marriages, especially women dealing with powerful families, legal systems that favor wealth. Rachel smiled. I'll help, Emily and Victoria too. We've all been talking about it. Really? Really? You started something, Becca. When you refused to take the money, when you fought back, you showed all of us that we don't have to stay silent. Hope made another sound, this time closer to crying. Becca adjusted her, soothed her. The baby settled against her shoulder. Outside, the city hummed with life. Sirens, traffic, the sounds of ordinary existence. Becca walked to the window, looked out at the street below, saw people hurrying past, living their lives, unaware of the battles fought in private, the cages that existed in mansions and mines. She wasn't the same woman who'd woken in that cage. That woman had been afraid, compliant, willing to accept crumbs of affection from someone who saw her as an obstacle. This woman knew her worth wasn't determined by who loved her, but by how she loved herself. This woman had survived, and in surviving, had learned to live. Hope yawned. Tiny. Perfect. Becca smiled. Your grandmother called this morning, Rachel said. Your mother. She wants to visit. I'll call her back later. Tell her to come next week. She's proud of you. She told me so. Becca thought about her mother, a teacher, a single parent who'd worked 3 jobs to put Becca through college, who'd warned her about Clayton, who'd been right. I should have listened to her, Becca said. Probably, but then you wouldn't be who you are now. Who am I now? A survivor, a fighter, a mother. Rachel stood, collected her children. Someone who changed everything, for all of us. After Rachel left, Becca sat in the quiet apartment, hope asleep against her chest, the baby's heartbeat steady and strong. She thought about the future, not the one she'd planned, the one that was actually happening. It wasn't perfect, it was hard. Money was tight, sleep was scarce, fear still crept in sometimes. Late at night when sounds in the hallway startled her, when she checked the locks twice, 3 times. But it was hers, truly hers. The prison door had been unlocked all along. She'd been her own warden, choosing the gilded cage, choosing the appearance of happiness over the reality of freedom. Not anymore, she stood, walked to the mirror on the wall, looked at herself, at the woman holding a baby, at the face that had changed, not in features, in expression. She saw strength there, hard-won, battle-tested. She saw peace, fragile but real. She saw hope, lowercase and uppercase, the emotion and the child. We did it, she whispered. To herself, to Hope, to all the women who had come before and would come after. We survived. Hope stirred, opened her eyes. They were brown, like Becca's, like freedom looked. And in that moment, Becca understood something fundamental, something true. Revenge wasn't about destroying Clayton. It wasn't about watching him suffer. It wasn't about taking his money or his power or his pride. Revenge was this: living well, raising her daughter, building a life that wasn't defined by his cruelty. Revenge was surviving, thriving, refusing to let his actions determine her worth. The cage had been real. The abuse had been real. The fear had been real. But so was this ordinary morning, this tiny apartment, this perfect child, this hard-won peace. She'd thought she was trapped, powerless, broken. She'd been wrong. The power was hers all along. She just had to be brave enough to claim it. Outside her window, a bird landed on the fire escape. It sang once, twice, then flew away, free. Becca smiled, held her daughter closer, and decided that today, right now, was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Rebecca's story didn't end in that courtroom. And your story with this channel doesn't have to end here either. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that survival is possible, even in the darkest moments, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, though that helps, but because it tells me these stories matter to you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what surprised you. Or just tell me you were here. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in these stories is everything. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe someone fighting their own battle. Maybe someone who doesn't realize they're in a cage yet. Stories like Rebecca's save lives. I've seen it happen. And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, about people who faced impossible odds and found a way through, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. Because every week, I bring you stories of survival, strength, and the kind of courage that changes everything. Rebecca walked out of that cage. You can walk out of yours too, whatever it looks like. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring. And remember, you're stronger than you think. See you in the next story.